Hey everyone, and welcome to Kelsey's Corner. I'm here today with a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Mr. DeWitt Fleming Jr. He is crazy talented singer, dancer, actor, drummer. He does it all, and he's amazing at all of them. And yeah, some of his highlights include Riverdance, Cirque Soleil, and he's performed with a bunch of different artists that you've probably heard of before. He was also in a movie called How to Be Single, which I saw in theaters, and I didn't even know he was in it until I saw it on his website, and I said, "What? He was in that movie?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I totally remember that scene. He's done commercials. He's done so many different things. I first met him in St. Louis. I think it was 2013. I could be wrong, but I was about 13 or 14 years old, I want to say. Um, and yeah, we met, and I took classes from him. It was at the St. Louis Tap Festival. And yeah, I took classes and it was awesome. And then we met again a few years later. I took some more classes at, I think, the Big Apple Tap Festival. And then he started teaching for my intensive this past year, Wing It Tap Intensive, which is really exciting. And he's also taught at Motor City Tap Festival with me the past few years. But yeah, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. DeWitt. Hey DeWitt, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, Kelsey?
I'm good. So here you just had a baby. How's
Yes.
that going?
It's going, it's going. You just kind of follow what the baby needs. You sleep whenever you can, take naps. That's why it's going good though. She's beautiful. We love her.
Good.
Yeah.
So, before we get started, do you want to tell everyone like a little bit about yourself? I know there's like so much, but just a
Uh
little sneak peek.
sure. I'm a professional tap dancer. I'm also an actor, singer, drummer. I'm from Washington, D.C. I've been living in New York since 1999. Went to Marymount Manhattan College and studied acting. Um, I've performed all over the world, probably more 25 plus countries. Yeah, I've just been traveling and performing. I teach tap dance. I teach drumming and acting as well. Um, Done a little bit of television and film, not as much as I want to. So I still got time though. I got time. And I guess that's it. That's like me in a nutshell, I guess.
Cool. So, how did you get started in the entertainment business? Like, were you younger and just grew up in
Yeah,
it, or?
good question. Junior high school. It's actually a funny story. Well, at first, I started drums first when I was about 11 years old, and that was in elementary school. And there was a guy, it was sixth grade. It was a guy named Brother Ah. And he would come to our school with a whole bunch of different African drums and hand drums, and he would teach us how to play drums. And then I really enjoyed it, and so I ended up going to his music school to learn hand drums and drum set. I even learned a little bit of trumpet, flute, and then when I got to junior high school, I joined the jazz band and the concert band. Um, and then when I was in junior high school, there was a Christmas play, and I've always been, ever since I was a kid, just really silly and energetic and always playful. And so my sisters, of course, hated it because I was always messing with them. And I went to junior high school with my sister. She was a year older than me. And they had this Christmas show, and they were looking for a dancing Santa. And so my sister said, jokingly, she's like, well, why don't you go do it since you always dancing around acting silly anyway? And so I was like, fine, I will do it. And so I went, and I guess, audition to be the dancing Santa, and I ended up doing it. And I got on stage and just acting silly, and all the kids and all the audience were laughing and going crazy, and I was like, oh, I think I like this. And so that's kind of how it started. After that, I joined the drama club, and we learned plays and things like that. And I was like, oh, wow, there's a lot to this. It's not just getting on stage and making people laugh, you know? And so I enjoyed it. Then I went to Duke Ellington School of the Arts down in DC and studied acting. And I actually didn't start tap dancing until I was about 17 years old. Yeah, we were at Duke, we had to learn musical theater. And our last year, when I was a senior, I can't remember what show it was, but there was tap dancing in it. So we had to learn tap dance. And it was all right. It was just like, we learned like grapevine and, you know, shuffle step and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, this is cool. But I was still interested because it reminded me of drumming. And then I saw Noise Funk. And I was just like, oh, that's the stuff that I like. And then, so I just, unfortunately, I didn't have any teachers at the time, so I was just watching footage. My teacher, movement teacher, she showed me a couple things that she knew, but her vocabulary was kind of limited, and she knew that, you know, that I was excelling fast and really wanted to know more. And so she just gave me a bunch of footage. And so I sat at home. I made myself a little tap floor. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, well, we're going to make a wooden floor. I know I need a wooden floor. And then I put it in front of the TV, and it literally, my whole senior year, that tap floor like was in the living room in front of my TV. And every day I would come home. God bless my mom, because now I look back on it, I'm like, wow, like, I can't believe she let me do that, because that's got to be annoying. Somebody learning, like kids learning an instrument or learning like tap is annoying. It could be very annoying because they're figuring it out, you know?
Yeah.
So kudos to my mom for allowing me to do that for like, you know, almost a year straight, just coming home, trying to do, you know, the stuff on the TV that they were doing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I got started.
So you mentioned bringing the noise, bringing the funk. Is that when you realized like that's what you want to do? Like you wanted to do it professionally as a career? Or
No.
no?
So when I saw Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk, that was when I was exposed to a different kind of tap dancing. I was exposed to different kinds of rhythms and things like that in relationship to tap, which I wasn't exposed to before. All I saw was, you know, musical theater stuff and very limited musical theater stuff, actually. I mean, it was just what our teacher was showing us for the show. And so when I saw Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk, it was two things that really grabbed me. And one, there were people, you know, the people that were in the show looked like me, and they were my age. They, you know, they were 17 and 18 years old, you know, and they were up on stage. They looked like me, they dressed like me, and also the rhythms they were doing were similar to some of the rhythms that, of course, that I was listening to on the radio, the music at the time. But then also I heard the rhythms from jazz, which I was studying in junior high school and learning with the jazz band. And so that's the two things that really connected me to it. I mean, at the time, I just was really into it, and I really wanted to do it, and I thought it was really cool. But I never connected the dots of I want to be a professional tap dancer. Honestly, I don't even know when that happened. It just kind of happened. I don't even know. It's bizarre.
So what was your first like professional job that you did? Do you remember?
As a tap dancer?
As anything.
The first professional job was in high school. There was a show at was it Living Stage, I think it was, and they needed young actors, and so they came to Duke Ellington to audition us to be in the play. And it was myself and another young lady who got the gig. And so that was like officially my first professional show. And then when I moved to New York, my freshman year. This story hurt, man. Thinking of this story hurts my heart. It really does because it was about a month into me being into New York, and I ended up auditioning for Sophisticated Ladies. They were doing a European tour, and I remember it was myself and it was Ted Levy and the casting people in the room, and I was auditioning for, I think it was swing. I was auditioning to be a swing in the show. I'm not sure what Ted was auditioning for, but I was in there with him. And at the time, I didn't know who Ted Levy was. Of course, when I stepped in the room and I saw him move and dance and sing, I was like, this dude is amazing. I'm like, what am I doing in the same room with this guy? I mean, I'm like 17 years old. No, I was 18 at the time, 18 years old. I'm like, what is going on? And so I ended up getting the job. However, oh, it's so sad. It's so sad. My mom, I showed her the contract, and of course she's freaking out because I only left home a month ago. I moved to New York, which she's already freaking out about, and now I want to go on a European tour. She's really freaking out. And so she calls the head of the drama department at my college and says, you know, he got this contract to go to Europe, and I don't know. Can you look over the contract and just, you know, tell us what you think? Should he do it or whatever? And of course, the head of the drama department said, well, you know, it's not a great contract and blah, 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 blah. And there's things that are, you know, that are unknown. So, I don't think he should do it and blah, blah, blah. He should just stay in school. And so, of course, that's what my mom told me I should do. And that's what I did. However, that summer, I went back to my high school and I'm talking to my drama teacher because they would bring me back to teach tap and you know, tutor the kids with acting and all that stuff. And so he said, I told him, and he said, you're an idiot. I said, what are you talking about? He said, why are you going to school? He's like, I was like, to, you know, do shows and, you know, hopefully be on TV, film, do theater. He said, and somebody just offered you a professional theater job and you turned it down. And I was like, but my mom, but she's like, he's like, I don't want to hear it. I don't know. You're an idiot. And I was like, but I didn't know. He's like, why would you turn down an offer to do what you're going to school to do? That doesn't make sense. And I was just like, oh. So that was like, oh man, that moment, like, oh, it crushed me. But, you know, thankfully about a month after that, I ended up booking an off-Broadway show, doing tapping and acting, singing, all that stuff. So it was cool. Yeah.
So how supportive was your family when you officially, you know, became professional into that?
Well, they were very supportive, and it's funny because my wife and I, Jenny, were just talking to some kids about a week ago about this, and a young lady was talking about how her parents aren't very supportive of her being in the arts, and I told her I won't say the only reason, but I think a major reason why my parents didn't give me any problems about that and have much concern is because I had a job ever since I was about 15, 16 years old. And I was the kind of kid where if I wanted something, and my mom raised three of us by herself. You know, my dad was there, but he wasn't, you know, as present as he should have been. And so, money was scarce, you know, but, you know, I want to get some, you know, shoes or a nice shirt, or I want to go out to eat and do all this other stuff. And so I ended up getting a job because I wanted to do that stuff. So I was always the type of kid where if I wanted something, I would figure out how to get it. And so I think my mom really noticed that in me. And she noticed that I wasn't coming always asking her for money. I wasn't the type of person that would go out there and create problems for her or create financial situations for her. So she knew I knew how to take care of myself. So it didn't bother her that I was going into this industry because she knew that no matter the outcome or no matter what would happen, I would still take care of myself and know how to take care of myself. So, yeah.
Feel that.
Yeah.
So as a tap dancer,
Yep.
who's been your like biggest influence? Or who have you trained with and who is your mentor per se?
Okay. Uh, of course, the biggest influence has got to be initially Gregory Hines. And that's because I remember when we were kids, and this is before I even thought about tap dancing. My mom would show us the movie Tap, and it was, I think it was either White Nights or something else, but we would watch these movies randomly, and we really enjoyed it, and we really loved it. And just since then, we've just loved Gregory Hines. And then fast forward um, to when I started dancing, a lot of the footage I was watching and that was easily available to me were his movies, or like the PBS special and different things that he had done. Because this is before YouTube. I mean, you didn't have YouTube. I mean, I was getting VHS tapes from like, I would have to go to a video store and buy these VHS tapes and this stuff. So this is, it wasn't accessible like it is now. And so I just liked, because for me, it was the tap was more musical for me. And it was something that was very personal. And it was just, I really enjoyed dancing. And he was one of the only people that I saw that had that joy, and that really, when he danced, you can tell it was something coming from within him. It wasn't him just trying to show you a step or show you how to tap dance. He was just kind of living in the moment of whatever that was. And so and he was just so smooth. It looked so easy, and he was so personable, with the audience. And so, of course, initially I was drawn to him as a dancer, and I really admired and appreciated what he did. As far as mentors, it's funny because there are people that come in and out of your life, and it's only because the way I was moving so much. Like, I was in DC as a tap student in senior in high school for only about 7 months tops, and about 3 of those months I got to work with Tony Lombre, who has passed now. May she rest in peace. And she had a company called Taps and Company, and this is where I met Chloe and Maud. Actually, I met Chloe before that, years before that. But this is where I started to really get to know them. Maud was a little girl at the time. And Chloe and Maud came up with Tony Lombre and her company. And Tony Lombre taught at my high school. And so that's how I met her, through the dance department. I would sneak out of my theater classes and go take tap classes with her. And she needed more guys in her company, and she asked me to come join. But this was like 2 months before I had to go off to New York. So I studied with her for a little bit, went up to New York, and, got my butt handed to me. Because, you go to New York that first time, go to Swing 46 or all those jams that used to happen back in the day, man, you really it sits you down. You're like, wow, I got a lot to work on. So just going to that, I learned a lot, from, the older masters and the other dancers that were around at the time that are still around. Me and Jarrett really had a bond in college. So when he and I met, I mean, we hit it off the first day we met. We were just like, oh, this is my brother. And so we worked out a lot in college. We were always working out and bouncing ideas off each other and shedding and trying to, do different shows. We were dancing in the subways and dancing on the streets, and we were just all over the place. We were inseparable. It was crazy. And then lastly, Deborah Mitchell out of New Jersey Tap Dance Ensemble. I can't remember who introduced me to Miss Mitchell, but they were having auditions for the company, and they were paying us $25 a rehearsal, and I think they were paying for transportation too, because we were coming from New York. And I was like, oh wow! I was like, that's great. I get to go tap, and they're gonna pay me $25 and pay for my transportation. It's amazing. And so I had worked with Miss Mitchell for maybe 4 or 5 years with her company. And she really taught me a lot. She's a big mentor to me, just about the business, uh, about presenting tap on stage, about presenting yourself on stage, about integrity. Just she's taught me so much, and I think I really learned a lot from Miss Mitchell, and I always appreciate her at New Jersey Tap Dance Ensemble, Miss Deborah Mitchell. So I think that's it. I mean, again, you always pick up little stuff from people along the way. But that's probably kind of my trajectory of mentors, if you want to say.
So going back to all of your different talents, because you have like a million cajillion talents. um, so you're a singer, dancer, actor, drummer. Which talent do you feel comes most naturally to you versus like one that might be like a little bit out of your comfort zone, or do they all feel just like natural?
Man, that's a good question. I would say I know the least natural for me is singing. There's moments where I feel natural and it just fits and it fits right. But that's the least natural. For as far as acting, it's kind of hard because it really depends on the writing, and it depends on the context. Like, it depends on what it is. Because some things I'll read, like I'll get a script and I'm just like, boom, I'm in. This feels great. And then some I'm just like, okay, let me get out my pencil and pad. I got to work this out, But I don't know. That's a good question. I want to say tap. Yeah, I want to say tap is probably the most natural. Very, very, very closely followed by drums. Very, very closely followed by acting. But yeah, I guess I would have to say tap dance. Yeah.
So going into some of the fun things you've done within your career, can you tell us about some of the highlights, like Riverdance, or Cirque du Soleil and stuff like that?
I'll say that a highlight for me was probably Wynton Marsalis, and I'll say that because of the way it happened. It's funny, like when I look back, there were things that happened in my life when I was younger that just seemed like coincidences, but then later on in life, they end up popping back up. And then a good point about that is the Gregory Hines thing. Also, when we were younger, I think another reason we really liked Gregory Hines was because he kind of favored him and my father kind of favored each other, the way they looked. And so I think that's another reason we were kind of like drawn to him. And so with Wynton Marsalis, when I was in junior high school, my mom gave me a jazz book, and it was Jazz for Young People, and it was by Wynton Marsalis. In the back was a CD. And I remember reading that book and wearing that CD out. And this was when I was playing jazz drums. And so I loved it. And at that point, I was just a big fan of Wynton Marsalis, and it kind of became an idol for me. So fast forward, we're in college, and Jared and I were, in college together, and a friend of mine was working at Jazz at Lincoln Center. And she randomly called me and said, hey, do you want to go see a show tonight at Jazz at Lincoln Center? I can get 2 tickets. And I was like, oh, yes, absolutely. I would love to. I mean, Wynton Marsalis, of course. Yes, I want to go see. So I tell Jared, I say, hey, Jared, I got these 2 tickets to Jazz at Lincoln Center. And Jared goes, man, I ain't trying to go see no jazz. Because at the time, Jared, all he wanted to do was hip hop or R&B or, that's all he was into. He wasn't into nothing else. And I was always constantly trying to get him to listen to jazz. And I was like, Jared, trust me, you're gonna love it. He's like, all right, whatever, man. So I ended up dragging him along with me to the concert, and of course he loved it. He thought it was great. And I said, hey, let's see if we can sneak backstage and meet Marcellus. He said, nah, we can't just sneak backstage. I said, Jared, let's just try it. Why not? Let's like, all they could do is tell us no and go, go home.
Yeah.
What we didn't realize is that because Wynton taught at Juilliard, he would always let students and younger people backstage. If they looked like a student, he told all security, just let them in. And so we went to the stage door, and to our surprise, they just let us in. Like, there was no questions asked, they just let us in. And we were like, oh, shoot. Oh, okay, that was easy. So Wynton's coming down the hallway from the stage, and I go, hey, Mr. Marcellus, it's such a pleasure to meet you. That was an amazing show. I really love your work. We're tap dancers. And he goes, oh, you tap dancers? And he goes, well, show me something. We're like, all right. So me and Jared start trading in the back hallway right there in front of him. And then he pulls out his trumpet. I mean, his trumpet was in his hand. So he pulls up and starts playing. And we just start jamming for like, a few minutes in the hallway. He was like, oh, yeah, man, you guys got it, man. I love that. I'm digging that. And he goes, take my number. And he says, take my number. Yeah, keep in touch. Let me know what you guys are doing. And I was like, oh, shit, it's crazy. So the next day, I remember I texted him. I was like, hey, this is, DeWitt, tap dancer from, last night. Just wanted to, say thank you again, whatever. And he responded, was like, oh, yeah, cool. You guys are great, man. Thanks for coming to the show. Boom. About a week later, I get this call, and Wynton goes, he says, he's like, hey, man. I'm like, hey, how you doing? He's like, good. He said, what you doing? I'm like, nothing. He's like, why don't y'all come over to the theater? And I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, we got sound check at 5 or something. He was like, why don't you guys come over? I was like, all right, cool. So I called Jared. I said, Jared, what you doing? He's like, I was like, I don't care. It don't matter. We got to go over to the theater. Wynton just called me. He wants to come to the theater to sound check. He was like, all right, cool. So we jump, go to the theater, get there. And he said, I want y'all to check out this tune. You got your shoes? We're like, yeah, we got our shoes. So he starts playing this song with the band. And so he said, can y'all dance to this? And he was like, yeah. So we get up there, we're jamming with the band. And he's like, cool. Yeah. All right. Well, let's do it. We're like, all right, cool. Do what? He's like, yeah, let's do it. We're like, what are you talking about? He's like, we got a show tonight, tomorrow, and the day after that. So why don't y'all come do it in the show? And we were like, tonight, like in a couple hours? He was like, yeah. And I was like, what? So that story to me is just like, that was just a highlight because, it's something from the past foreshadowing and something that, is going to happen in the future. And that was over 15 years ago that happened. And yeah, man, and we still cool, Jared's dancing with him. I stopped dancing with Wynton it's been a while now. But every once in a while I still go back and do stuff. But yeah, so that's probably just like a really big highlight, just because it's just the story behind it is just so fascinating.
That's awesome. So I read it
straight up, boom, back. It's just kind of like but it just depends, it depends. Yeah, it depends.
Getting to some of the stuff that you are working on right now, I know you just had an album drop that's available on Spotify, and I'll have the links and everything for that for people to check out. And you have Do It Right tap mics.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about all that stuff that's happening?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so the album is I'm actually really proud of the album. I wrote it with Erica Von Kleist, who's an amazing saxophonist and flutist, however you say it. And it's all original music. And we made history over at Jazz Lincoln Center because it's the first album recorded there that has tap dance on it. So I'm so excited about that. We recorded at Dizzy's Club. And the album is just great, man. I'm really proud of it. I'm proud of the way, the tap is represented in the music. It's really a part of the music. And yeah, so I'm proud of that. And that's on all major platforms. You just put my name in, DeWitt Fleming Jr. And the name of the album is Sax and Taps Explosion Live at Dizzy's. Yeah, it's a couple really, really great tap moments on there. So definitely check that out. Do it right, tap mics, be heard. Yeah, that's just I mean, I was looking around for myself to find something that that could help me in my performances. I just really got tired of, I mean, traveling and doing shows with bands and different shows where they, you know, I couldn't, no one could hear me, and I'm dancing hard as heck, and I'm hurting afterwards, and nobody heard me, and I just, you know, I just hated it. I hated feeling like that, and so I was looking for mics for myself, and when I found them, you know, people were asking me about them, and I'll say, you know what, let me try to make this available for people, and I was able to create these mics and make it available to people for a fraction of what they would pay if they went to like a sound company to get them made. Because that's what I did first, and it cost me an arm and a leg, and I was like, man, people can't afford that. It's crazy. I couldn't afford it. I knew it was a necessity, so you know I sacrificed, but it was just, yeah, it's just, I was just not happy about that. So yeah, we created a full range omnidirectional condenser lavaliers. You know, they're 2 mics with 1 connector, so all you need is 1 mic pack, and they're super durable. It won't break if you like step on it, if it like accidentally comes off, and the sound is great. I mean, I love them. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any like shows that you're in right now? Or, well, I guess we're in a pandemic, so there's not that much happening.
Yeah, it's crazy because I had this year, man. I mean, it's funny. It's like with this pandemic and coronavirus, there's so many goods and I won't say bad, but unfortunate situations that happen out of it. It's just like, I mean, for me personally, I mean, besides all of the horrific things that are going on, you know, all over the world with the deaths and all that stuff, I mean, it's horrible. But it's kind of for me, it's kind of a mixed emotions because I was doing a show called Wonderful World down in Miami, and I was playing Stephen Fetch's character and Professor Davis' character. Stephen Fetcher is an old character from back in the 20s, 30s, 40s. He's a very iconic character in American history and American film. Not always for good. But I was playing him in the show. The show was about Louis Armstrong. And I was also playing another character whose name was Professor Davis, who was Louis Armstrong's first trumpet teacher. And the show was just it was a great show. It was just a really good show. And I was so proud of that show. And they were making, you know, plans to do it there and try to bring it back to New York. And that just got shut down. So that was like, no, that was just like such a heartbreak because it was, you know, you don't always get opportunities to be in a show that one feature you really well and that also that you really enjoy doing and you enjoy the show. And so that I was heartbroken by that. This year I was supposed to get the Flowbird Award for national the Tap Extravaganza. Of course that got canceled and I was like, no. And then what else was happening? We were supposed to have our album release party for the album. Of course, couldn't do that. There were so many things. I had a bunch of other gigs lined up that I was really excited about. And all that got canceled. And so, like, on one hand, I'm just like, this is horrible. But then on the other hand, since March, middle of March, I've been home with my wife. And she was, at the time, she's about to have this baby. And, you know, this is our first baby. And I don't realize how much that is on a woman, you know, to go through that process. And I'm just so thankful that I've been able to be here with her in the house. And then the baby came, and now I'm here with both of them in the house. And it's just, it's just amazing. It's amazing that I have this time to do this. So it's just mixed emotions. You know, it's so many things that I've you know, have been put on the back burner, have been canceled, and you know, are put on hold that we're really looking forward to. But then I can't complain because I'm here with my wife and my newborn, and you know, it's amazing. Yeah.
Do you have anything that you're working on right now that's going to be happening after the pandemic? Or you're just like taking some time?
Well, they're going to put the show back up, A Wonderful World. So that's happening. There's another production that someone reached out to me about, but I don't want to say anything about it because I don't know if I'm gonna do it, and I don't know if it's happening. So I don't like to say that. So that's happening. Working on music. I want to put out some more music with Stacks and Taps with Erica, and also I want to put some music out with Jenny, my wife. I mean, I don't know if you know, but she's in Hamilton, and she's an amazing vocalist. So I want to put some stuff out with her. What else am I working on? I always got something going on. You gotta keep it going.
Yeah.
But I can't think of it right now. But you go to my website, I always put up what I'm doing and what's happening.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, I will post all of the social media links for everyone to be able to follow you and
Yeah,
like your
thank you.
pages and stuff and your website. And yeah, but thanks so much for doing this with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was
It was
fun.
good seeing you.
Yeah, it's good seeing you too.
Yeah. Well, have fun with your baby and your wife in the
Yes.
midst of the pandemic. And hopefully I'll see you soon in real life.
I know, right?
Until it's
Crazy.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Give Mama Patty my love.
I will.
All right.
Joke. See ya.
All right. Bye.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed the interview with DeWitt. Make sure to check out his new album. It's available on Spotify and Apple Music, I believe. So I will post the links for that and you guys can check it out. Be sure to support him and we hope to hear another album from him soon. He'll be teaching at some different events coming up this summer and the fall. You can follow him on DeWittFlemingJr.com and you can keep up with all of the different things that he is doing. And we hope to hear more from him soon. But with that, I will see you guys next week. Thanks.
Mr. White? Why aren't y'all down here?
We can't, sir.
Unless you got 4 broke legs, boy.
Dr. Narcisse won't let us.
What's he got to do with it? Well?
He own a piece of us, sir.
He own a piece of everybody.
And if he give the word, then we... This is for you.
You read it.
A servant is not greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who dispatched him.
John 13?
Dr. Narcisse knows his gospel.
These kids, I found them in a juke in Louisville.
Ricky's the same kids. I haven't seen you since college, eh? Dang it. Hey, Austin, I gotta go get a drink, but I'll catch you later. I'm gonna find Alice.
Unbelievable! He missed it! The Skybirds win the championship! The Skybirds win! Oh, Top Shelf must be kicking himself. The streak continues 30 years without a Red Rebels championship.
With the Amplify tablet, your teacher or tutor can give you real-time, instant feedback.
Heads up, guys. One thing you're not getting is how starch turns to glucose.
In the deep night, from a dark space, I hear voices calling out in heartache. They are wounded, they are broken, but their spirit rises when awoken. I'd like to see you looking swell, baby. Diamond bracelets Walmart doesn't sell, baby.